Enjoy the show. Welcome. So happy to see you. You're gonna have a lot of fun in this video. Get out your notepads. You're gonna learn a lot. I know it's long, but you're gonna learn a lot. Thank you very much for joining me. Why do we need the wall? We're going to go through facts, why not having a wall is dangerous. We're going to talk to an expert on walls. You know, they keep telling us that there's experts say that walls don't work. We're going to have one of those experts on. Trump supporters, because they want a wall. Is it because of racism? And what are the pros and cons of illegal immigration? They always keep talking about the immigrants that built this country. A little rundown on those immigrants and the people that are coming over the border that aren't going through the legal ports of entry, which makes a big difference. All those things in this episode. And I'm going to give you some stats on all the things that the Democrats really love, what they love about illegal immigration and not having a wall. And it's more than just universal power and votes. Oh, it is. We're going to talk about all those things that the Democrats would have to love. And where are we going to get this border money? Apparently, they say they don't have any border money, though we just sent $10 billion over to Mexico and South America. So it makes me wonder, these people coming over are saying they're poor and they're suffering because America has taken from them, but we just sent you $10 billion. Where is it going? But that's the $10 billion that should have been withheld for the wall. But you see, the problem is that Congress holds the purse strings. But one thing Trump does have in his pocket, he has the nuclear option, which we need Mitch McConnell to explode to what constitutes an invasion.
llevaron el pasado 23 de septiembre al aniversario 50 de su fundación.
A continuación desfilan dos bloques de la Escuela Interarmas de la UPAR General Antonio Maceo, Orden Antonio Maceo. Esta institución docente fue inaugurada el 7 de febrero de 1963. Cuenta con una rica experiencia.
Get ready, this is going to be fun. And wait till the experts come on. One is very intelligent. The other one, not so smart. California is a sanctuary state. Obama opened up the border, and he sent the people illegally coming over the border over to purple counties to change them blue. And now they're being sent over to red states, red counties, to turn them blue. Okay, so we know that they want power, and once you get power like the EU, see, the EU, when they enact a law, it can never be rescinded. The EU, just in control of Europe alone, runs on $85 million a day. They're living high off the hog. So you can imagine when all the borders fall, how much that's going to cost. They need a certain amount of people to work for them, or they can just use slave labor. Anyway, let's see. The Democrats, since the Democrats don't want a wall, and they want to keep the violent people in the country, and they want more violent people coming in the country, and they don't want to send them to jail. They just want to send the American citizens to jail, whether you be a minority. Only thing they don't want is somebody who's vulnerable to be deported by ICE. Like, you've committed a crime, it could be domestic violence, and usually the victim of the domestic violence, women's movement, per cop, who's here illegally herself from south of the border, so she's suffering. Usually you take them out, you put them in jail, she's safe, but it kind of protects her, doesn't it? Huh. They like that. The Democrats really love people who rape 6-year-old girls. They love domestic abusers getting let off. ICE is in the building, they let them out the back door. Or the judge lets them off and says, we want you to stay in this country, no matter what crime they committed, and feel comfortable in our country. So please don't leave our country. They actually said this. I live in a crazy blue state. And they actually said this. This is what their judges are doing. Somehow, they think they're going to get this big pat on the back from Stalin or something. I don't even think Stalin would let people come into Russia illegally. You know, maybe if you were like the greatest ballet dancer in the world or the greatest scientist, Russia, with their wall that kept people in, see, the machine guns were pointed in, you know. And that wall worked, by the way. That wall really worked. But Bernie Sanders, they let him in because that's where he honeymooned. In the Soviet Union, that's during the times with the bread lines. And the whole thing about the deodorants, he's all big on deodorants. There's too many deodorants. But that's how it works in the Soviet Union. The government says, it looks like this, it does this, and we only make so many. But it's not just deodorants, it's absolutely everything, including food. That's why there's bread lines. Okay. You see, the Democrats need these people because they need the vote. So they want the criminals, the people who are committing crime, to stay in the country. Rape, pedophilia. In fact, Doctors Without Borders said that 93% of the women and children crossing the border, non-political group, are raped. Okay, so that's when Trump said rape. And he said, and some I'm sure are very good people. That part of what he said was not heard or noted by the journalist. And I'm sure some are very good people. But Doctors Without Borders has confirmed 93% of the women and children coming over the border are raped. And that leads us to another issue that the Democrats love. They love sex slavery. They just love it. They want, you see, this is it. The people who are helping these people come over the border, tell them, get a child. Doesn't have to be your child. Get a child, and that's the loophole. They'll let you right in, and they'll let you, come back in 2 years for a court hearing, and then they disappear into the country. But if you have a child, then it's look, they've separated the parent and the child. And the reason why even Obama did this is because these people were not the children's parents. And even if they're the children's parents, like those 2 children that died recently, Guatemala, that's 2,076 miles away. Even if the child is healthy, that we found out that the little girl died of sepsis, that's a disease that nobody can, she had a disease, okay? And that had nothing to do with the border agents. I haven't yet heard of what the other child, the 8-year-old boy, died of yet. But if you're dragging your child or a child over 2,000 miles, that's child abuse, flat out. And you're taking them because you know it's an in. It's a sure in to get into the border. A lot of these children are coming in to be sex slaves. The Democrats love children being dragged thousands of miles, not getting enough water or any water or food. Possibly these children are sick to begin with, and they're being dragged just so that adult who's of voting age can get into the country. They just love that. And if the child dies, why, Trump's in office. We can blame Trump. But what about all the thousands that died when Obama was in office? We don't hear about that, and we don't hear about the camps that separated the children. But I would separate the children too. I would say, all you adults, goodbye. Goodbye. I don't care if you're their parents or not. In fact, if your parents allowed you to come on this trip with a stranger, where you could be raped and sold into sex slavery or into MS-13 gangs, which the Democrats think is some kind of a fantasy gang, we know is true. If you look it up, if you listen to don't listen to Salon, MSNBC, CNN, don't listen to them. Look it up yourself, what MS-13 does. In fact, MS-13 makes the Aztecs look like gentle doves and cupids. The Aztecs used to cut the hearts out of living children and then cannibalize them. And adults, prisoners, they'd go to war just to get people to sacrifice. And they used to flay people alive, which means removing their skin while they're still alive. And then they'd wear the skin. Well, MS-13 is even worse than that. They do all those things and rape you, and stab you hundreds of times, and cut your head off and your heart out. It's unbelievable. They've perfected killing. And so a lot of these kids who come over the border, they can't afford to pay for the journey, or the adult that's taking them over cannot afford to pay for the journey. So the child gets sold into sex slavery or has to go into MS-13. And to join MS-13, you have to kill an American. And usually the people that are killed are descendants of slaves and Hispanic people. One thing that I noted, when Trump was talking before the Congress, they had the National Black Caucus sitting there. And Trump was talking about two girls, had their parents there. And it was one of the girls' birthdays, and she was with her friend, and they went out. And Trump wanted everybody to applaud the families who lost their children in such a horrible way, to give them support. And one of the little girls was a descendant of slaves, just like the people in the National Black Caucus. And the other one was Hispanic. And they looked dead in front of themselves. Why did they do that? Because it's Obama's policy. And if you acknowledge that Obama's policy caused the death of these little girls, then you're making it look bad for Obama. Obama is half African. He's not descendant of slaves, and he's half Irish. And the Africans that stayed in Africa, see, the Africans that came over here as slaves lost the war. See, tribes would go to war with each other, and the kings would sell the losers. Obama doesn't have the same experience as people of the Black Caucus and all the descendants of slaves. He doesn't have that experience of racism and what Black people suffered in this country. And the KKK, slave owners, slave traders, Jim Crow, which were all the Democrat Party. Every single one was a Democrat. And the Republican Party was formed to abolish slavery. But the Democrats will keep telling you, even though we had a senator KKK member, Grand Cyclops, exalted Grand Cyclops of the KKK, died in 2011. His statue is in the Capitol Rotunda, put up by Barack Obama. Barack Obama, Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton's mentor, eulogized him. KKK member, Democrat. I'm not going to stop saying that until it gets into the heads of the Democrats and the socialists. It has to get through your head why our first Black president, biracial president, not Black, not descendant of slaves, yes, half African, put a statue of the Grand Cyclops, the big dick of the KKK, in the Capitol Rotunda, place of great honor. Get that through your heads. Okay, so the National Black Caucus is looking dead in front of them, not clapping, not giving support to these people because they want to stand behind a biracial president who has no experience in this country as a Black man. He grew up in Hawaii, by the way, moved to Chicago. It really helped Chicago a lot. Those deaths went down tremendously. You know, the murders went down tremendously of Black people in Chicago. Just kidding. There isn't racism, by the way, in Hawaii. It's like the state of all states in this country, that's the place, if you don't want to experience racism, that's it. That's where he grew up. Okay. They are loyal to him. MS-13, which is not a fantasy gang, that's coming over the border. 70,000 died of drug overdoses. China is sending drugs over as well through Mexico. And Mexico is making their own opioids. Opioids that are in the same molds as hydrocodone and oxycodone. So when these people are found dead of overdoses, these Americans that are found dead, they look at them, and since it looks exactly like something that came from a pharmaceutical company, because they're using the molds from the pharmaceutical companies, they're calling it an opioid death and not a death from drugs over the border. But you see, the media is not reporting on this, that opioids are coming over the border that look exactly like the ones you get from your doctor. So there's a lot more drugs coming over the border and killing people than you can possibly imagine. But the Democrats love people dying of overdoses in this country. And they love the fact that the media won't report on it and make it look like it's the doctor's fault. And then the people who actually really need those painkillers, laws have come down really hard on them. They can only have so many. They have to get drug tested all the time. And there are people that are in legitimate pain. But because the media has set their sights on the problem is with the doctors and them prescribing opioids, not on the drugs coming over the border. We have warehouses filled to the top all around the border with drugs, enough drugs to kill everyone in the entire world. That's how bad it is. But the Democrats love everybody in the entire world dying of drugs. Just enough left to vote them permanently into office, and they can vote themselves permanent pay raises. But you've got another thing coming, Democrats in office. Once globalism takes over and you've got that unelected government like the EU, they're going to say goodbye to you. You're no longer going to have the jobs. You're going to be in a much lower level job, and you're not going to get paid much, because if the EU runs on $85 million a day, they run on that little EU, just running Europe. Imagine what these people are going to get paid if they know they run the entire world. So you've got the raping of the children, which you love, the sex slavery of the children, which you love. The pedophilia is getting more and more and more normal. You love that. And then the drunk drivers. Oh, I've heard so many stories. This girl, she was killed by these guys who were drag racing, these undocumented, because she had the highest scores and she was going to go off to this really good college. Who knows what she could have done? And she lay in the hospital for 9 days to die. But they let him go. They let him go after she died. And then they claimed, whoa, no, she hadn't died yet. That's why what? So if he was an American citizen, he would have gone to jail immediately. There would have been a trial. But because they said that she hadn't died yet, but she had, first of all, she had died. Even if she hadn't died yet, you keep this man in jail. None of his buddies got arrested either. So you love that. You Democrats love that when people get killed. You know, most of the people who are coming in legally are not white. Like my brother-in-law, he's a Brahmin from India. When you say Trump wants to make America white again, you see, there's so many people who are so ignorant in this world and have no idea. They just listen to it and they believe it. Even my sister, she listens, and her husband, your husband was a legal immigrant and he's not white. Most of them, nearly 100% of legal immigrants are not white. He wants legal immigration. The one thing that he does not want, which the Democrats love, is, you see, it takes years because we bring in 1 million legal immigrants a year. And we have to check them out. We have to make sure they're not a terrorist. That's another thing, terrorism. You see, People from all over the world are coming through Panama and Costa Rica, and they're being taken up by the drug mule. Pay them about $40,000 to take them through the southern border. They come through the southern border too. They're coming from Africa, the Middle East, South Asia, Pakistan, Sri Lanka. So you're wondering, where do they get this money? It's an awful lot of money to come over from their country of origin. And it's also a lot of money, $40,000, to get a drug mule to bring you over the southern border. Oh, America pays stations in Panama and Costa Rica to fingerprint, to do eye scans, to take 3D photographs of these people, so we know when they come through the southern border that they've come through these stations. What they do is they get let go in the jungles, and they drop fake passports all over the jungles. So they're getting fake passports from their country. What does that tell you? They're not the people that they're claiming to be. They could be running from the law. They could be terrorists. We don't really know. When asked by CIS, which is the Center for Immigration Studies, I would suggest you checking their website and checking their videos, because they go down there and they report on this. The media, however, doesn't want you to know about this. They just tell you that these are just good people from South America or Mexico that just want to come here to work. When no, it's people from all over the world, including the drugs that are coming from China and the drugs that are being made in Mexico by the drug cartels that are killing people in America and dumbing America down. When you have a dumbed down citizenry, you can say stupid things to them like, Russia fixed the election, when Hillary Clinton got $150 million from Russia. Her husband got $500,000 as a birthday present. Obama was good friends with Putin. He said to Medvedev, on a hot mic, tell Putin when I get elected he knew he was going to get elected because the whole Tea Party thing, anybody who had a conservative organization of any kind was audited. So he put the fear of God into these people. They couldn't get the word out. They couldn't get on television, make commercials, candidates that supported their cause, because he put the fear of the IRS into them, which means we're going to throw you in jail. So he got elected a second time, and you wonder why he got elected a second time. He got elected the first time because this was such a racist country, and the majority of the people that voted for him were white. Yet the first thing he did was convince everybody we're a racist country and that Trump is a racist. And we know that's not true. And Trump wants to make America white again. You can say that to people who have been dumbed down by drugs. So you want all these drugs to come in over the border. They're killing us and making us stupid and making us believe ludicrous lies. Obama himself looked at Romney when Romney said that Russia was a threat. Hey, Romney, he was so cool, Obama. The 80s called. They want their foreign policy back. Russia wasn't a problem. But if you have people coming in from every single country in the world, and you have a way for them to vote, motor voter, in California, You just need an address. Everybody in the world is meddling in our elections. If they're not citizens and they're voting, give everyone in the world, even if they have any form of identification of any kind whatsoever, give them all ballots. In fact, give everyone in the world 1,000 ballots. And they can fill it out with different names, just like SEIU did. After the election, we found out that SEIU out of Chicago was filling out the ballots, and Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck actually voted. That's the 2008 election when Obama won. But not Russia. Don't send any ballots to Russia, because if you do, Trump will win. You see, that's the logic. If you think about that for a second, that's the logic of the left. And that's the logic of a populace that has been dumbed down, just like in ancient Rome. They were brought down by bread and circuses, a welfare state. And they gave away free wine. And they gave away free entertainment. So they dumbed down the populace, just so the leaders would get elected into office. And they opened up the gates, and they let the barbarians in. And Rome fell. So you dumb down the populace. We don't know what the heck is going on. Just like Hillary said in released speech to Wall Street. You see, the people these socialists who hate the 1%ers and want to tax people who make a lot of money. You see, the people who make the most money are all Democrats. Zuckerberg, Gates, Elon Musk, George Soros, they're all Democrats. And the people above them, they're above 1%ers. They're the less than 1%ers. All these people you hate don't pay taxes. They have tax loopholes. Zuckerberg, his tax haven is Ireland. He hardly pays any taxes at all. All of them. That's why they're billionaires. Soros is a trillionaire. He makes his money on destroying economies. He does this all over the world. And how do? You do it the socialist way. You overwhelm the system. You open up the borders. You bring everyone into the country, and you bring them in on a welfare system. So the people who are working hard and paying taxes, not the people who are getting 100% on the dole and getting paid under the table, they don't pay any taxes at all. That's why they send $120 billion out of this country, you see. So all these people, all the good working American citizens, and all the people who are immigrants who came here legally will go to jail. They will get everything taken away from them because the socialists, the Democrats will they want to repeal the Trump tax cuts, and they want to raise the taxes. So therefore, we're all going to go to jail. That's the end game. And then you bring in everybody from the world. You've got them here. They're living on the dole. There's an unelected body of government like the EU. Guess what? When everything falls and there are no borders and TPP takes hold, even the Democrats that are in power, they are stupid. They are just as dumbed down as Hillary said to Wall Street. You see, all you people voted for Hillary. See, Wall Street wants this. She said to Wall Street she wants a world without borders. She wants an uninformed and compliant citizenry. She wants you dumbed down. Wall Street wants you dumbed down. Wall Street wants the drugs coming in the border. And you can say any stupid thing like Trump wants to make America white again. And people believe that. When we have 3 million people here, immigrants here a year, which includes the 100 million that are legal, the people who overstay their visa, and the people who are coming over the border. Most of all of them, the legal ones, let's just say the legal ones that Trump knows are here, are not white. You can say stupid things, and they believe you. And they want you uninformed and compliant. They want you drugged up. That's why they want the borders open. That's why there are warehouses all along the border filled to the roofs with drugs, including opioids that are being made in Mexico. The media's focus is on the opioids that the doctors are prescribing, not about the drugs coming in over the border, because we're a drugged up, dumbed down society, and that's the way the 1%ers and Wall Street and everyone the socialists hate want it. When everything falls, nobody's going to get any welfare. Nobody's going to get anything on the dole. Everything's going to fall. A great number of people are going to die. According to Bill Ayers, to change this country to socialist, he said 30 million people had to die. But that was back in the 60s. There's a lot more people now. This is how dangerous this is. And this whole thing is connected to a one world government, which is not a one world of freedom and no walls and no borders. It's being conducted by Wall Street, by the 1%ers that want to decrease the population. What do you do to decrease the population? Well, you keep letting people in over the border, and you don't check them for diseases. You don't check them if they are a criminal that's wanted in the country they're coming from or any country in the world, or if they're wanted in this country. Drunk drivers, people getting killed, people getting raped. If you want to lower the population, this is what you do. And when people are picked up, say you're a domestic abuser and you're an illegal and you're abusing your girlfriend or wife who's also illegal, and you're brought into the station and you go in to court. ICE is in the building. Guess what happens? They let you out the back door. Who does that help? What about the girlfriend? You care about the illegals? What about the girlfriend or the wife that he's abusing, that he'll probably end up killing? You don't care about her life, do you? You don't, do you? Or the children. And recently we had, not too far from here, there was a humanitarian family that brought in an undocumented man, fed him, gave him new clothes. He made a copy of the key. He came back at night and raped their 6-year-old daughter. This is not just one or two incidences. This happens all over. Sex trafficking, which is slavery, by the way, so you're for slavery. So that means the Democrats are for all these things. They're for these things because they're letting them come in. Because you see, if you have a wall and you have it monitored, and even though people start to climb that wall, you've got surveillance, you dispatch people, and even if they make it over, you see them. But it slows them down so you can get to them. That's how walls work. We have legal ports of entry. And in legal ports of entry, if you're sincerely seeking asylum, or you want to move to this country, you go to the legal ports of entry and you fill out paperwork, you show them who you are, and you prove You are not escaping from authority. Didn't commit a crime and you're running away from your country because you're not someone who's wanted in this country. You're not a terrorist. See, that's another thing Democrats must love. Of course they love it. Open border. People are coming through Costa Rica and Panama, coming up to our border, and they have all this money. $40,000 just to travel up, and the money it took to get over here. Oh, we're going to go to New York City. We're coming here for work. After you've paid all that money, you know how far $40,000 alone can go in the countries that they live in? They're wealthy. Why are they coming to this country? Does anyone ask this question if you've got that much money? They're not coming here to work. Are you kidding me? But if you must go through somewhere that is not legal, what does that mean? And you're told if you grab a child, they'll let you in because you have a child. And that's the reason why even Obama separated the children. Even Obama did this because these people were not their parents. Or these people are dragging children thousands of miles and people are dying on the way. Children are dying on the way. If the child isn't sick when they leave their country, they're going to be sick. They're dragging them, they send them alone with drug mules. And they get into sex trafficking to pay for their trip. And then when they're here, they get their rotten parents that sent them by themselves to get raped and sold into sex slavery so their entire family can come in at the expense of that child. The Democrats love that. Criminal, you cannot do that. If you're bringing children in for sex slavery or women in for sex slavery, you can't do that if you go through a legal port of entry. See, the Democrats do not care about the people in the world, and they do not care about the people south of the border. Just look at all the children and the women, and then the young men that go into MS-13. And to get into MS-13, you have to kill someone. That's the initiation. You kill someone. And you kill them worse than the Aztecs. Brutal. It's unreal. But the Democrats love this. They think this is great. We need more of this in this country. Because, if you bring in lots of people who are driving drunk, and then they end up killing people who are like that young woman who's going to go to college. No, if you're illegal, you get set free. Oh, ICE is in the building. Doesn't matter if you've committed murder or rape or domestic violence or drugs, which will end up killing people and destroying the lives of people and destroying their lives with their family and destroying society and then voting for stupid people in office. ICE is in the building, they let them out the back door. I hear stories every single day. I listen to someone who's trusted. I listen to people who are only trusted. And I look them up myself to make sure this is not a lie. This is not made up. It's true. Christine Nielsen, Secretary of Homeland Security. They didn't even want to listen to her. She spoke for 50 seconds. She was trying to give the facts about the drugs and the crime that are coming over the border and why you need a wall and you need legal ports of entry and to fill out forms like everyone else in the world. So you're telling all these other people who live in countries that are not white, that want to come to America and work hard. They're always saying these people coming over the border just want to work, but they come in and they get on the dole and they work under the table, okay? These people are coming in, they open up businesses, they learn the language, they learn the culture. I know a lot of them, in fact, and it takes them years to get over. You're basically saying you prefer this person who you consider not white over these not white. You are actually a racist against these people from these countries who are trying to come in legally and are waiting years to get in, like my brother-in-law, who took 8 years to come into this country. And he came over here, he's a professor of Hindi, he has a child, he's a very good man, as upstanding as you can get and reasonable. You make it hard for somebody like him who's extremely productive and has given a lot to society in favor of people who are coming in. Not at legal ports of entry. See, if you're escaping the law, you don't go through a legal port of entry because you'll get caught. The only people who are coming over the border that are not coming in legal ports of entry, they're bringing children in that are not theirs, or children that they're going to send and sell into sex slavery. I can't believe the Democrats are okay with this. I can't believe it. They didn't want to hear it. They didn't want to hear the truth. These people are running from the law, or they're wanted in this country. That's why they're not coming in through legal ports of entry. That's why we need the wall, so they can come in legal ports of entry. And the wall you can monitor. You slow them down enough, and you see them through surveillance, and you get there and you say, no, you don't come over the wall. Who are you? You can't prove who you are. You can't prove it, which means they may be wanted somewhere. What country did you come from? You don't even come from South America. That's interesting. Where'd you get the $40,000? Well, it's probably more like $50,000. So you can come here and work hard, or come here and live off the dole for the rest of your life, or come here and do terrorist activity. Let me give you some numbers. Drug seizures between 2017 and 2018, and this is in pounds, 14,358 pounds. That's enough to kill a whole country. Let's see, heroin, 5,345 pounds. Marijuana, 322,615. Methamphetamines, 77,674. Fentanyl. You know, fentanyl, it's like one little grain can kill you. Fentanyl, 1,689 pounds. People in custody that are known gang members. Known MS-13, 728. And it has come out that Obama knew. It was leaked. Obama knew that MS-13 gang members were coming over the border with these dreamers, the DACA children. They were amongst them. Okay, those who have criminal convictions in Mexico or other countries or are wanted in this country and have been deported. See, how many of those came over in 1 year? 24,048 came over in 1 year. Unaccompanied children with no parents that came in and went into sex trafficking between the ages of 0 and 17. 8,624. A few videos ago, I said that Trump should outlaw walls, since walls don't work. And he should outlaw locks and security guards with guns. is. But I think, and we start from the top down, from the richest down, I don't think Hollywood or the Democrats would go for that. Do you think so? I don't think so. So Nancy just came back from a vacation at some kind of orchid resort. It's called Orchid something or other in Hawaii. She's over there relaxing, caring about all the poor people coming over the border, how much they're going to suffer. And she's looking forward to using Air Force Two, which she racked up was a $65 billion bill. And she would get cases of liquor delivered to the airplane. So her and her family, she would fly her family from Sacramento to San Francisco. And they would just booze it up. And it was all on the taxpayers. But that's another story about lovely Nancy. See, Nancy and I have something in common. We're both Southern Italians. And I care about the poor people. I'm not sure about Nancy. You see, this hotel that she stayed in Hawaii, $5,000 a night, and it's $300 just to use the pool. The pool isn't even free, so she's lying there waiting to take over the house in Hawaii. And Trump, he didn't spend any holidays in Mar-a-Lago. He didn't go away. He stayed in the White House waiting for the Democrats to come back so that he could make some kind of deal with them so we can get this wall built. But anyway, the funny thing is that, you see, that hotel she was staying at has a big wall around it. And then, Harry Reid, when he was in office, he lived in a gated community. Big wall around that. And who else? Gates, he's got several homes. He's like a billionaire, practically a trillionaire. He has several. He's got walls. Zuckerberg, how many homes does he have? And how many walls? Well, he tried to sue these people. He wanted to buy an island in Hawaii. And he sued everyone on the island to get off the island so he could own the whole island. But he was going to build a wall around that too. And Obama, he has 5 homes. Martha's Vineyard, Washington, D.C., Chicago, California, Hawaii. He also owns a home on Hawaii. Right on it's just beautiful. It was Magnum PI. It was used for the set of Magnum PI. He's got a wall too. And his homes are $8.1 million. And Maxine Waters, her homes are only $4.4 million. She's got 4 homes and they have walls. Who else has walls? Dianne Feinstein has walls. Well, since there is no money from the wall, and you have convinced me 100% because you said the experts. You never brought on an expert. You didn't say what they were an expert in, but you said experts. And because my brain is dumbed down, just like all the other Democrats in this country, smoking or whatever, or other Americans. Americans are dumbed down. Lots of drugs in their youth before the brain reaches, the age of 26, the brain stops growing. So if you pump it up, any kind of drug, even Ritalin for God's sakes, you put that in, it affects your brain. So since you've dumbed down America with drugs, legal and illegal drugs, it makes sense to me. Walls don't work. So not only are you going to be, I assume you're going to be getting rid of the locks on your homes. I've said this before, and I've said this on Twitter, if you catch me on Twitter. Posted this. Get rid of the locks of your homes, get rid of your security guards, get rid of the guns, because you want to get rid of the guns. So all the idiots in Hollywood who have walls around their homes and have security guards with guns and locks on their homes and alarm systems, you get rid of all those. And then you take that money, then in fact, I'll offer to do it. We will take down all these walls from every single politician who said walls don't work. And every single person in Hollywood said walls don't work. And I'm going to start with that resort in Hawaii that you stayed at with the big walls. And the Pope, who has 200-foot walls that he made higher. He made them higher. And then he said, bring in more refugees. Right. You're not afraid of anything, are you, Pope? We're going to take down the bricks there, too. In fact, the Italians are going to do it. I'm going to call my cousins in Italy. And since now it's a nationalist party, take down the walls around the Vatican, because he's the one who wants to bring everyone in. In fact, it's not just refugees. We're not just talking about people from Syria that are filling Europe. It's actually just economic migrants that are coming in. So they're saying it's people fleeing from war, which is one thing. But economic migrants is another thing. So Italians, start taking down the walls. And then since we don't have any money and you won't give us money to build this wall, and we stupid Trump supporters think a wall is going to work, which I give my entire video is going to be a very good argument why we need walls. So I suggest you watch the whole thing. It's very informative. All these are a lot of bricks, and use all those bricks. I'll help take them down brick by brick, and we'll bring them to the border, and we'll build a wall with all the walls that you own. You and Hollywood and the Pope and Gore and the Clintons, all you people who own walls around all your homes. There you go. And I'll hire some of your security guards with the guns, and then they can work on the border too. Since none of this works and guns are bad. There you go. We don't need any funding for the wall. We got it. You don't want the wall. They don't work. Oh, that's right. You need to grow bougainvillea on it or climbing roses or something like that. That's why you have the walls. You don't have the walls to protect. Oh, no, you're the important people. We don't want anyone in Hollywood hurt or killed. Just the little people should get hurt, not the politicians. My God, if we didn't have our politicians to keep us safe, we'd be in such a sorry state, wouldn't we? They're doing such a good job. We must protect them and keep them safe. Whatever could keep them safe and protected. Security guards with guns and big high walls around their homes. Yeah. Enjoy the show. Welcome. So happy to see you. If I hear that immigrants built this country, that's the reason why we need an open border and people flooding this country who clearly, a heck of a lot of them are criminals, and children getting sold into sex slavery, which the Democrats love. They love child sex slavery. They love criminals in this country who've committed crimes, who've committed murders, who've driven drunk to keep driving drunk and keep murdering. and bringing drugs to kill more people and to dumb more Americans down. Now that we're making more and more drugs legal, and that you can, instead of buying an ice cream cone, you can go in and buy marijuana. We need stupider Americans. That's what we need. We need more dumb Americans. That's what we need. Some people can smoke marijuana and they're perfectly fine. I'm not talking about them. There are some that smoke all the time, and they smoked before their brain was fully developed. Your brain continues to grow up to the age of 26. So if you take drugs, and I'm even including Ritalin, any drug before the age of 26, watch out, because your brain is getting bathed in a bath of toxic chemicals. And you are going to perceive the world inaccurately, even if it's alcohol. You've done damage to your brain. Somewhere, somehow, it brings out latent schizophrenia. And that's the reason why we have so much trouble with divorces. But you see, the socialists, they don't want, and Democrats, they don't want families together. They want single parents. They want, see, the family unit creates a stable structure. More children go to college, more children are successful, and less children get into crime. A broken down family creates all that. But that's what the Democrats want. But see, if you take these substances into your body before your brain is grown, then you can't even have an intimate relationship. That's why we have a problem with men not wanting to get married, people not wanting to get married. They have trouble in relationships. They're in and out. They pick the wrong people constantly. Is that drugs were administered to these children, even if it's a Ritalin at a young age, and it stunts the growth of the brain. And they can't deal with an intimate relationship. If you can't do that, then you can't have a family structure. In ancient Rome, one of the requirements was to become a Roman citizen. You had to live there for 10 years. You had to learn the culture. You had to learn the language. You had to learn how to work in society. And if you got married after 10 years, you became a citizen instantly. Otherwise, you had to wait 20 years. Because a family unit is stability. It builds a working civilization. That's the basis of civilization, is a cohesive family unit where the children have structure and they learn right from wrong. One parent, as good as they can be, as good as they are, can't do it on their own. So the Democrats, a part of this and a part of bringing the drugs in is to break down the family structure. That's what welfare did and destroyed the black family. The black family was on the rise. They were working 50 times harder as any white person. Only 10% of the children were born out of wedlock, 30% for white people. They were going to church every week and had their grandparents living with them. They had a strong family structure. And from slavery, they were increasing, they were going up so high, so quick in society. What did the Democrats, when they got into power in the 60s, did? Oh, welfare. And they went from door to door, and if the father was in the home, nobody got welfare. They were poor, they were hardworking, they needed extra help. Could you just give them a little extra help? No, they broke the black family, and they opened up immigration, where immigrants came in and took the jobs of Americans at a lower wage. So the father could not go out and earn the income to support his family. The family unit broke up. They needed welfare because it depressed the wages, a depressed minimum wage, the thing that the socialists are screaming about. We want a higher minimum wage. The reason for that is this open immigration. We opened it up in the 60s and brought in welfare, and we opened the borders. That's what happened and killed the black. So if you care about minorities, that's the story of the black family. $10 billion we've sent over to Mexico and South America, $10 billion. And these people who are coming over are saying, it's because of America that all these countries are suffering. No, they're all socialist. Socialist countries are oppressive. There's no such thing as an individual person. You work for the government, you abide by the communist rules, and maybe you'll not get shot. There are still films of firing squad, people who did not want to be communists in Cuba, and they're being killed by firing squads. And they just celebrated their 60-year anniversary, and it was in the Vatican news. They were celebrating it until it was yanked out. Cuba, where the black people go to jail and there's a line down the middle. The racism in Cuba is insane. The Castros hate black people. And it's the black people that'll go to prison. And that's why Colin Kaepernick wears Fidel Castro socks. So the $10 million is allocated to go to these countries who are basically letting caravans of people who say that they're seeking asylum, but they've got, how many flags are there? Okay, huge flags they're carrying. And it's 10,000 people in these, and there's more caravans coming. It's caravan after caravan of thousands and thousands of people coming, carrying the flag of their country, saying that they're seeking asylum. But most of them are men. And when they start to throw the rocks, they start to throw the rocks at the security guards border agents who don't want to let them in. And you know, they used to stone people in the Bible and the Quran. It says stoning is one of the punishments. You can kill people by stoning. Goliath was killed by one stone. You can kill someone when you throw a stone. It's as lethal as a gun. So stop it. And they're throwing stone. You know what they do? When the border agents pull out the tear gas, which Obama regularly tear gassed people all the time, they put the few women and children, they have very few women and children, it's mostly men. They put them in front so the tear gas hits the women and children. These are great people. These are wonderful people. And the Democrats are right. We want more of these people that put the women and children in front to get the tear gas. We want more of the people that are going to throw rocks at our border agents because they want to come into this country and live 100% on the dole and get paid under the table. We need more of them. And seeking asylum, if you're seeking asylum, why did you leave your women, most of them, because they're mostly all men, most of the women and children in your country, if your country is so oppressive? No, if your country was that oppressive, you wouldn't leave the women and children in your country. You would go to the first country you came to. Mexico was willing to take them in. They were willing to take them in. Mexico has got a growing middle class, but you know what? They stopped in Tijuana, and for the time they were in Tijuana, it was over 1,000 crimes they committed around the city, and the people were begging. We're too poor to pay for these. These people want to live on the dole. Even the Mexicans know that these people want to live on the dole. These are the people we want in our country. Wait a second. We need to bring our expert on. Our expert that has said that walls don't work. And she has many degrees. She's got about 7 masters. And she's got hybrid PhDs. She got 2 at a time every time she got a PhD. So she's got about 37 at this point. And she's an expert in many different fields. None of them are about bricks or walls, but she's an expert. She is an expert, which makes her an expert, the same experts that the Democrats are talking about, because all the Democrats are saying experts. Who are these experts? Well, they're experts in something, but let's bring her on now. Okay, so you're saying that walls don't work. Walls do not work. They'll climb over the wall, they'll throw a rope down, and they'll go down the rope. You're saying walls don't work, so it's a waste of money. It's many miles, it's a waste of time. Is that what you're saying? Walls do not work.
Continúan trabajando en aras de perfeccionar el empleo combativo de sus fuerzas y medios.
Yeah, I'm saying that. And I'm an expert. I'm an expert on medieval tapestry is one of the things that I'm an expert at. And I know women and trans women that have been abused over the centuries. Medieval women. Medieval trans women who've been abused over the many centuries. I did a couple of my degrees, and also in styrofoam containers and how to recycle them. Because I think I figured out a way how to recycle them. But, wait. Medieval. Stone Age. Styrofoam containers. That's it. I'm sure there was a class in it. Very, very liberal arts college, and I took the class, and I passed. So you're talking about walls? Walls don't work. Walls don't work. I had a wall around my backyard, and it was made out of metal, and it was there for 70 years, and it got really rusty. And so some of the spokes started to break off of it, and I had a bunch of dogs, and they got through the fence. So, in my expert opinion, growing up in a house with a rusty metal wire fence around it, which was like a wall to me because I couldn't get through it. I felt as a child that I was locked into these walls, and that's why I have the issues that I have today, that I need lots of medication for, lots of recreational pharmaceutical medication for. In my expert opinion, because in fact I lived within those walls longer than I've been to school, walls don't work. And that is my expert opinion. And I think I gave a good argument. Excellent. Excellent argument. Absolutely. So you have it. Walls do not work, or a rusty fence, or whatever she had around her yard. And she lived in it long enough, and it sounded like she suffered an awful lot. And she needs to take a lot of medication because of living within the perimeters of those walls. And I can imagine what she suffered when her doggies got out of that rusting metal fence, which she's calling a wall. Which I think Trump has a different idea for a wall. So we've got our expert opinion. You see, I'm the first one with the expert on. I'm the first one with the Hillary supporting, Bernie supporting, Jill Stein supporting expert on. That's what she claims. She supports them all. She said walls don't work. She said it. You heard it. They keep saying experts. I haven't seen any of them bring any experts out so far. Who are these experts? What does expert mean? I do cake decorating. I'm an expert at that. Maybe I can be an expert. They just say experts. They didn't say experts on what. So I brought an expert in. And it sounds like she's had experience with walls as well. And it could be she's had experience with padded walls. A lot of these experts that the Democrats are talking about. Padded walls and very tight-fitting jackets. That makes sense to me. So, one thing I haven't mentioned, very quickly. Rundown. The immigrants that came to this country, the immigrants when my grandparents came to this country, there was a surplus of jobs. There was a surplus of jobs that in fact were life or death jobs. The likelihood they were going to get hurt badly or killed was extremely high. It wasn't picking vegetables in a field. It was work that you worked in a basement of a building, and then the building collapsed in on them. But they didn't care because they were just Italians. They were Southern Italians. They were considered dark. And Europe, if you immigrated from Europe, the northern countries had a higher limit per year. Each country had a limit per year that could come to this country. And the northern countries had a higher limit. When you got to southern Italy and Greece, the smaller percentage got smaller and smaller. But Mexico, believe it or not, Mexico was designated white. If you were Mexican, you were considered white up to 1980, which it became more politically advantageous not to be white at 1980. And there was no limit. So Mexicans are considered Caucasians, they're not considered, and South America. If you go to Brazil, you're going to see a lot of white-skinned people with blonde hair, because not only is Spain, part of them are native, just like part of the people in America are native. But Spain, the genetics of Spain, who are the people who came and conquered the Aztecs, you say white people? Well, their genetics are similar to, if you look at the map, to Great Britain and Ireland, all the way up even into Germany. Similar. Southern Italy and Greece, different. More, it's the Levant, Middle East. That's who they're closer to, believe it or not. So the people of South America, who are mostly Spanish, Germans, came over in disguised as Nazis. And Argentina, a few other countries that are majority Italian. It's a mix. It's a mix just like America. What Trump voters want. They don't want crime. They don't want drugs. They don't want their children dumbed down with drugs. They don't want them dying from drug deaths. They don't want them run over by drunk drivers, which there's a heck of a lot of them. They don't want them raped. They don't want their children raped. They don't want them butchered by MS-13. These people who voted for Trump, the majority of people in this country voted for Barack Obama twice. Majority of the people who are white. Whites voted Barack Obama in twice. So don't talk to me about race. Don't talk to me it's because of racism. He was voted in twice. And nobody, like Michelle Obama says, they keep blocking my husband. Notice how she talks like that when she is speaking to a graduating class of African Americans. She puts on that tone as if she's never been to Princeton. Nobody blocked her husband. He told the Congress when he deballed them that if you don't vote the way I want you to vote, I've got a pen and a phone and I'm just going to do it. That's a dictator. Nobody blocked her husband. The Trump voters were the same people who voted for Barack Obama. And they want legal immigration. And the mix of South America is practically the same as America. Oh. These people are not wanting to kick out the minorities from this country. They voted in the first black president. They were the ones who voted for Trump. The people of South America, with the same mix as I am, for God's sakes. I'm not a racist, so that's a fallacy. That's a lie. And I've given you a lot of information, and I've hopefully dispelled a lot of lies, and have opened your eyes to a lot of truths, that the Democrats are all criminals. Democrat politicians are criminals, and they speak to their constituents, to the people who vote for them, as if they're stupid, but they believe it. Why do they believe it? Because they've been dumbed down. Television, entertainment, computer games, drugs. That's one of the broken families. And the Democrats are feeding all of it. They were so successful at destroying the black family in the 60s, and it was the Democrats, and they're still running those cities today. To this day, for 60 years, they're running the cities, the inner cities that the black people have been suffering in. They broke them, and now they're breaking the entire country and bringing in the rest of the world. And we're going to go to jail because we can't afford to pay the taxes. That's the way it's going to be. The Democrats, somebody voted them into Congress. Somebody did that. I don't know who did that. I don't know if it was a fixed election, but something happened. If any election was fixed, it might be that one. So right now, it's almost 4 o'clock in the morning where I am. I'll edit this tomorrow, and I'll have to say goodnight to you. But the Democrats are your enemy. The Democrats are. They're poised to destroy the world, society, the family they've already destroyed. They've destroyed your minds. Stop taking drugs. Fight against it. And find someone to love and to stay with. Because there is nothing more beautiful than loving the individual soul, which in socialism, the individual doesn't count. The government, you are a cell in the state, and you do everything for the government and the law of socialism. There is no more individual. You've destroyed yourself, so fight against it and love a human being for the rest of your life. And they love you back. If you do drugs once in a while, but cut down, please, and keep awake at the lies that are being thrown at you and brainwashing you. I'll have to say good morning because it's no longer night. Good morning and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.